Again, in these videos, guys, I'm just flowing. Let me try to clip the mic to my shirt. I hope my necklace and stuff doesn't make it. Sometimes when I clip the microphone to my shirt, there's like feedback. Maybe I can put it up here. I've seen some people do this. I'm used to usually using a wired one. But let's see how that does. I hope that does pretty well. I hope it sounds pretty good. Actually, I can test the audio right now since this is the intro. So, welcome to another video, guys, on Soulithic Shift. And I don't know, my goal here is just to get y'all to soulithically shift your life. And you have to understand you're a part of a small percentage of people who truly begin to start to understand this stuff. So, connect with me out there if you need any help figuring this stuff out. And I'm going to open ways like I'm gonna do like straight one-on-one coaching that I should have done a long time ago, but now my time is really now as I've mastered myself. So I feel like as I've started to master aspects of myself, so I feel like now is the proper time to be able to help and guide others to their truth, which is that you're the power. You don't need anyone. You really don't even need me. You just need yourself. So let's get into this video. So I feel like a lot of individuals don't stress that. Join your communities and have fun. But understand when those communities and stuff start to get toxic, you got to turn inwards, because I think a lot of people mistake. You know what? Yeah, I think that's going to be the flow for this video. What are some of the top mistakes people make when, you know, embarking on this spiritual journey? And trust me, I'm speaking completely from experience. These are the mistakes that I made along the way. I don't know if I'm going to do them in any particular order. I'm really too lazy right now to. We'll see in post. Maybe I do them one by one and I make clips. But if anyone wants to, they watch this video back and you guys want to list the top, one, two, three, like the 10 things that people mistakenly do on their spiritual journey. Um, yeah, go ahead and do it. And another thing that I want to mention too is no matter what the title is or anything like that, I want to shape the video as 10 tips that will aid you on your spiritual journey and not 10 mistakes, because I truthfully think that you cannot make mistakes on this journey, because we're not all really making mistakes. We're all making happy lessons. No, but in seriousness, like, I truthfully believe you can't make mistakes on this journey, because no one has a manual for how your life is supposed to go and what you came to do in this incarnation of yourself. You have a set goal and plan that's laid out for yourself. So, you're gonna come across obstacles and things like that on the journey, but it's always consistently being in a state of learning. So I don't think you can really make mistakes. I think you can only just deviate a little bit from your original plan, but that's not necessarily a mistake. That may be necessary for you to get on the main path. But let's start with number one. So number one, I'll throw up my fingers on screen as we do them, and then somebody can listen below if you would like. I think somebody will. I would appreciate it if someone does. People do it on my other videos. So here we go. One, do not get in the trap of information overload. That is what I did. So if anyone, just to give you a quick summary of me, I had a very raw awakening experience. I had the lucid, first of all, well, actually, when I was a kid, I had chronic sleep paralysis, everything. I've seen every goddamn entity that exists on the internet that has been talked about in folklore, out of folklore. I've had I've had my indigenous background, like green spirited women come and sit by me in my bed in sleep paralysis and like caress me and tell me that everything will be all right. I've had it all. And then from that, I've had lucid dreams, things like that. So yeah, I had a very raw awakening where it was psychic abilities, boom, 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 like insane. So this is coming from this individual. But the one thing I can tell you that messed me up is information overload. But it was also a W. I started getting every book. I started getting Holographic Universe, Cyclomancy, downloading PDFs. I was watching so many different spiritual content creators. And what I will say is avoid information overload, and also trust your discernment and trust your heart. If something somebody says doesn't really resonate with you, or it just feels odd, but if this person says stuff that you kind of feeling you'll know as you begin to discern. Your heart will be like, you know what, this person feels like they're spitting facts, but man, it's like I don't want to accept it. Listen to that person. But if your radar goes, okay, maybe this person's not for me, because I don't want to just say that someone's full of BS, because some people, you got to really take your ego out of it to discern who's really about the work and who's integral and who's not. Because what I'm going to tell you 100%, I waded through a lot of this information, and I'm telling you, a lot of this stuff has to do with your mind, your heart and your brain as your mind, and as these receptors for downloading higher consciousness from your higher self, God, source, the maker, whatever. So trust me, get your ego out of the way, because there are some people who may feel like BS, but they are actually spitting good knowledge. That it might just be a you thing. But then there are individuals who are commercialized spirituality and running game on you guys. And not intentionally, but it's because a lot of people feed into their dream. But anyways, all I want to say is that discernment, information overload is the biggest one. Avoid it. The rest of these 9 are probably going to be easy to get through, straightforward. So let's go. 2. 2 is the biggest one. Understand it is an inward journey. It is an inward journey. No matter what community you join, it's an inward journey. It is inwards, inwards. Self-love. Because when you master yourself, you will be able to help those around you. So just please go inwards. Then I'm saying this like I'm talking to my version of myself that might be in another carnation. I don't know. Like drill this into me. Self journey first. Three. When you begin to manifest, and there's people around you that are, well, when you begin to understand what manifestation is and what you've been doing the entire time, and there's others around you that don't really believe this stuff or whatever, do not try to fight them. And that'll be 4 too. So 3 and 4 are going to go hand in hand. This information is like regarded as taboo and stuff. So when you start having spiritual and mystical things happen around you, do not waste your time trying to explain these things to others. Please, please, please save yourself a lot of time and headache from, and understand that whatever way your parents and stuff may have seen you before, parents, peers, friends, or whatever, it doesn't mean you have to really drop anybody. But be authentically yourself, but never be combative when it comes to what these people may say or think about you. Because when it comes to energy work, the 3D world, which is this, the illusion, the Maya, whatever you want to call it, the external, is trying to get you to react, because your energy and all of your God source power comes from within. So if you're reacting and fighting and getting mad at certain things or being pulled out of your character, you're literally being pulled out of your divine power and spending it on things external of yourself. Now, you can give meaning to a lot of this stuff on the external, but you have to understand the external is neutral. And depending on how your ego jumps to certain things and attaches and reacts to certain things, that can bog you down a lot of time for a lot of manifestation stuff and a lot of attraction. It can hold you up. So be very careful. Number 5, and I guess this is like another real big one, and a real big one to me, but is understand that it is all your mind. So that all these tools and all these things you're going to come across, you make work. This is one of the biggest mistakes I made, because I would ask my cousin consistently, and she knew it was part of my journey. I was aware, very aware, that things were being created from my mind. But the contradictory statement that I was making within knowing and understanding that things were from my mind was, I kept saying, but how do I manifest? But how do I do this? But how do I do that? And what I didn't realize, and my cousin and one of my greatest fucking friends ever, my brother from another mother, people call us twin flames, and that we literally look the same, is that the key was within me the whole time. So I guess I would call 5 the key, that it's you have every answer you need within yourself. None of these communities and none of these people have that key. A lot of the answers to your questions, which is okay, seek answers, seek, because that's important, that you're seeking knowledge. Some people say, like, you don't want to seek, you want to attract knowledge, or the knowledge will find you. And it's a balance. It's a balance. It's a yin and yang. You're in a dualistic world. So understand that seeking knowledge at times, as long as it doesn't become an addiction and overbearing, it's fine. But also understand that you have most of the answers within yourself, and that's just facts. Um, so moving on from that, we got six. Six, one of them, another very, very important thing too is network. Try to connect with individuals that seem, you know, on your level. Reach out. You know, reaching out helped me when I was literally tweaking so much, and I reached out to what people would consider a celebrity or a GOAT, greatest of all time, and he ended up answering. And he ended up giving me game that I will always, I think I'll take to my grave and forever be grateful for, no matter what. No matter what. This individual, I don't need a name because whatever, but you guys would probably know him. He had a very, very popular song, and I say network, reach out, don't be afraid. If your gut or you have something in your heart like that is telling you like I didn't know. I just was like in this state where I was like, you know what, this motherfucker is gonna answer because he's gonna just feel my soul, and then he did. And again, that was at the time demonstrating the power of I am. So understand that network, but be very, very mindful of who you network with, and just, but don't be afraid. When you get that intuition to do something, do it. And I guess that'll bring me into seven. Trust your intuition and trust yourself. Here's what a lot of people mistake with intuition. This is coming from somebody who people consider to be very emotionally intelligent. Your intuition will not feel like fear, and your intuition isn't going to lead you to make a bad decision. Here's what I want to say again, it's neutral. I see some people talk about intuition in a bad way, and I think this could just get a separate video too on its own. I'm going to explain intuition, but your intuition is not going to feel like fear, and your intuition isn't going to lead you in a bad path. So your intuition, your gut feeling that this person is meant for you and then they end up not being for you, is not how intuition works. That's your mind getting in the way. Intuition is going to give you signs of, like, when someone who talks about intuition that ends up in a bad scenario, they end up saying like, man, but the signs were there and I just avoided them. That, man, but the signs were there and I just ignored them. That's the intuition. That's the gut feeling, because your intuition is never going to do you wrong, but you have to understand your intuition is something that's kind of been trained out of you for years. We're programmed in the school, we're programmed when we're first born. To get back to your natural divine state, you have to go within yourself. Now we're on to eight. Yeah, we're on to eight. So the intuition stuff, seven. Now we're on to eight. Eight. 888. That's a restaurant in Austin, Texas. That's super fire. Eight, what I will just say is remember who you are. Remember who you are. You're the self. You're the self. Number nine for completion. I am speeding them a little bit up because I don't want the video to be over, but eight is just quick. Is like, you got to understand who you are. You were source. You were a part of source. Your kid-like imagination truly is God, and whether you believe that or not, that's up to you to find out. But number nine, symbol for completion, is that literally no amount of books and information you are going to read is going to help you unless you apply what you're learning and also getting out and experiencing it for yourself. Number nine is that you are doing the work. You have to do the work to get results, and you will experience supernatural stuff. Nine is you will experience supernatural stuff. And the 1-0-10, the binary, is you are divine masculine and divine feminine within yourself. You are both energies. That doesn't mean I have to get on here and paint my nails or whatever. That might be how my spirit expresses itself. But an example for me is what I think about when I think about divine feminine is my more going with the flow nature now, and understanding self-love and really supporting and nurturing myself and being like that nurturing mother. I know this may sound weird, but that nurturing mother for myself, and that has reflected in my relationships. And like a giver finding a giver. If you're a giver and you find another giver, like, who, my the woman in my life right now is amazing. Like, all of them, mother, anyways, just great people. But what I mean is just like, you're both energies, balance them and understand that, just like becoming this unity within yourself or whatever, you do not have to find your soulmate. Your soulmate is sometimes yourself. But trust and believe that some people joke about this and be like, oh, attracting SP and all this, but understand, you will attract an SP or your specific person or all that, or your love or your soulmate or whatever, even if you want to say twin flame, you will attract them when you put into yourself, when you nurture the parts of yourself that you've been neglecting or you haven't, you felt like you haven't experienced as a kid. You will attract that person. They will come out of nowhere. You won't even be searching for them because you have to let go. And I think that's the best thing to wrap up with 10 is letting go. Understand it's an ebb and a flow. Do not hold on to things because you need to make room for new things to come. Anyways, I love y'all. I'm out of here. Peace.